Why don't we all close our eyes for a second? Give me a chance to drink water. Let's close our eyes, please. And start breathing deeply. Notice your muscles relaxing as you breathe. Don't tense up. It's easy to tense up when you breathe deep in your chest and shoulders. Just try relax. Let the stress of the last few days go when you breathe out. Even become one with the heat and humidity, one with the pew. Okay, one more big deep breath. Inhale. Exhale and relax. Open your eyes when you're ready. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So, who was able to watch on Friday the live broadcast of the 10-year anniversary of the Chanjangon? Okay. God bless you guys. You were up late, right? So we will have, I hear that my wife told me already Kodan published the video in Japanese on the Kodan website. Round of applause for Kodan. The English one will be posted soon, and if you have an IP's TV password, you can find it on IP's TV. But, you know, in speaking with Reverend Inose and also my wife this morning, I was reminded of Mother's heart. So she spoke very seriously, and she spoke really appealing to us to fulfill our responsibility. With tears, actually. So I was thinking about that and imagining what it must be like to be, you know, true parents and carry everything that they carry. And I feel true mother would naturally burst into tears. But how many times she holds them back because she wants to be a strong parent for us. So I'm thinking about our responsibility. The first thing we're thinking about when we think of our responsibility is to figure out what is our responsibility, right? It's not like a true mother says, fulfill your responsibility, and then gives you a long, 10-point list of what to do each step, right? So I heard even Father said, if I told you exactly what your responsibility was, you would still have to figure out what it is and how to do it. In fact, even if I fulfilled your responsibility for you, you would still have to figure out what it is and how to do it. So there's kind of no getting around this point. Who's familiar with the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden? Okay, easy yes. So did Adam and Eve have responsibility after the fall? Did they have a 5% portion of responsibility? What about before the fall? Did they have a 5% portion of responsibility? Oh, interesting. So, even unfallen human beings growing up have a responsibility, and there's something that they have to figure out that no leader or central person can tell them how or what to do. Right? We all know that. So what is, do you think, if you figured it out, the most important responsibility for us in this time? It's a question. Okay, you said tribal messiahship. Okay. Anybody else? Thank you. Anybody else? You don't have to say what you think I want to hear. It's okay. Raising up our families well. Thank you. To know that we're the child of God. Beautiful. Keep a pure lineage. Thank you. What else? What's our most important responsibility in this time, do you think? Sorry? Support true parents. How? Uniting with them. How? Inheriting their heart and love. And what? So do you remember what Mother said actually who was at Belvedere on June 5th for the big party? So does anybody remember like the last line? One of the last words Mother said? She said, you have to testify about true parents at this time. Go proudly and proclaim true parents at this time. Who's heard this before? Okay. So sometimes when I hear this, also Dr. Kim has mentioned several times, the most important thing is to proclaim true parents, right? He says this frequently in our Tuesday meetings, proclaim true parents, okay? So permit me, if you will, just a moment of my honest personal reaction to that, okay? When I hear this, I often think, oh, proclaim true parents, because we tend to take things literally. But sometimes I really feel when Dr. Kim's saying it, he means literally, you know, rooftop, street corner, say it first. And so I often, when I hear this, I think in my mind, did you go out to a random stranger and proclaim, like the first thing out of your mouth, proclaim true parents? I'm sure some of us have done this, but more often you hear testimony about how a relationship is built a little bit first, you know, at least a few words, right? So I was thinking about this a lot because it's my job, right? Also. So when Mother said it in Belvedere, you know, what am I thinking? I'm listening to the translation, I'm thinking, you know, Mother, have you ever tried going out into the street and proclaiming truth? This is what I'm thinking, honestly. I know, it's terrible, right? Sacrilegious, not religious. But people like honesty, Bruce, so we're not all perfect yet, so we're getting there. But I thought, you know, I want to try that anyway. So I was thinking about that, you know. And so I was in a taxi a few weeks ago, and there was this guy who had really, you know, able-hearted face, beautiful eyes, guy probably my age. He's driving my taxi. I start with a little bit of small talk, like, you know, where are you from? Oh, he's from Lyndhurst, you know, but he's originally from Brazil. Oh, do you have a family? Oh, I'm divorced, you know, a couple years ago. But he doesn't have children. And he's living with his mother and his brother. But I'm originally from Brazil. I said, oh, you're from Brazil. Oh, so you've heard of true parents. And he's driving, looking in the wing, and like, what? You've heard of true parents, right? I'm sitting in the back, you know, with my phone, you know, casually. What do you mean? True parents, come on, they're so famous, especially in Brazil. You must have heard of them. Reverend and Mrs. Moon, come on. And he's like, oh, you know, he's starting to get a little nervous, like. Come on. They bought a huge piece of land in Brazil, and they wanted to bring all, you know, cultures and make a global village and help the local population with food and prosperity, you know? You must have heard, and he's like, oh, you know, yeah, maybe I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I know about that. Yeah, you know, I think I know somebody maybe who's with that group. Yeah, okay, fine, of course you know somebody. I mean, it's all over the world. Okay, don't tell me you haven't heard of the divine principle. And now he's like, really like, oh, you know, what do you mean? What do you mean you haven't heard of the divine principle? You haven't heard the divine? Dude, I mean, I was like that too once, but when I finally came across the divine principle, it blew my head off, you know, it blew me away, changed my life. And he's like, oh, interesting, yeah. So, you know, and then he's like, well, you know what, maybe I should introduce you to this girl that I know that's coming over and moving to here, and I think she's with that group. Yeah, sure, but give me your number too. You know, you should come to our community. He's like, oh, yeah. I mean, do you have any other Brazilian people there? We've got people from all over the world. Actually, do we have any Brazilians in the room? I have to check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Give it up for Brazil. Okay, so I need your contact information, maybe. Okay. The point is, I just tried it. I'm really shifting the burden of proof onto the listener. Like, it's not like, oh, I've got this thing I want to share with you. And maybe, but I just right out of the bat. So it's interesting. I think the point is, and I said this yesterday in the workshop, in terms of witnessing or in terms of making a difference in someone's life, there's 7.3 billion different ways to do it. 7.3.5 billion and counting, right? So it's good to be ready in the moment to kind of capture the sense, marry yourself to the moment, and see what God wants to do with that, right? So there's my witnessing tip for the day. But when we think of Mother's heart, and frankly, she's put it into words, in terms of witnessing, Mother asked us to, one of the first things after Father passed was, like the old days, love each other. Witness to each other first, right? Witness to each other first. So what does that mean? Have you heard it, your parents? When we think about love, I asked my daughter in the car on the way here, I asked her, okay, what question do you have for God? Thinking that somehow maybe if she asks me the question, God can answer it. And her question was kind of difficult to answer. She said, how long is Cowboy going to live? Cowboy is our dog, right? And he's 10 years old now. So how long is Cowboy going to live? And I said, oh, that's a good question. Do you have another question? No. I said, why? It's important to you to know how long he's going to live. He says, because I love him. And so what are you afraid of? What does it make you feel when you love him? And she said, it makes me feel happy. And so when we think of loving each other, practically what does that mean? There's a lot of much wiser people in the room than me who can answer that question, and I'm sure there's a lot of you who are much better lovers than me. I know that. But I've had experience with love, and I know that Father says that to love, we need to cultivate spiritual sense. To love, we need to cultivate a spiritual sense. So, of course, love we want to put into action. We want to manifest love. But what about this developing a spiritual sense about love? What does that mean? We are holy people. Holy people. We are holy people. Amazing children of God. All of us. Right? How often do we stand up and say, I'm great? How often do we feel our preciousness? I'd like to show Exhibit A to the court, please. On Father's Day, I received a card from my daughter. She's the feature child today in today's sermon. So she gave me this Happy Father's Day card. But what was inside, she makes cards for me all the time, when I'm going on trips. What was inside was very interesting. If you read the letter, I can't read it from here. Who can read it so I can hear it? Can you all read that? Is it difficult to read? Yeah, you created me to be a wonderful child. I love this part. Thank you for always listening to me, listening to my stories. She's a girl, so that's particularly important for her. But the part that really hit my heart was the first sentence. You know, at first glance I thought, wow, she's got some guts, you know. She's like, I'm a wonderful child. And I felt, you know, surely, you know, I could have done much better as a father, right? And yet, she's saying, thank you for making me to be such a wonderful child, right? She was, for me, she was modeling. I thought, you know, how many times have I said that to God? I mean, we can say sorry. We can say I'm not enough. We can say I'll try harder and do better. But when do we stand up and say, you know what, God, you made me. I'm amazing. Thank you. Thank you for making me. How often do we say that? Because I can tell you, as a parent, to receive that card really warmed my heart. And I'm sure God has been working a lot harder than I, right? A lot more desperate to hear those words than me. So when you think about this point, we are holy people. Holy people. What about the pews that we're sitting on? Is that holy? Yes. It's holy. Every single thing in front of us is waiting to be loved. Everything we touch is waiting to be loved. Every person in this room is waiting to be loved and be told that they're beautiful. Can we deny that? You know, if you're walking on the street and you pass a bush, is that a bush? It's a part of God hoping that you will watch it when you go by, hoping that you may even touch it. And when you touch that flower or that bush, when you think, oh, this is a holy leaf, a tender, holy leaf, do you think that leaf is happy? Do you think God is happy? How about you? You've tried it, right? You know what that's like. Whether it's a sunset or some moment in nature or some interaction with your family member or friend. You feel that feeling, right? Is this something that we wait for? Or we need a beautiful sunset? My message is very simple. You know, this word's from Father in Danbury Prison is very interesting. This time was really serious for God. All members were really serious. Mother was really desperate. God was really desperate. Father was in prison. And what was he doing? He recognized everyone around him was desperate to receive love. So every action, every thought, every gesture, movement, and word came from a heart of love for them. He didn't witness to them necessarily with words or with theory or understanding, but just by being there and loving them. This is a very simple message. We know this, we've experienced this, but I thought I would use this short time on Sunday to remind us of this simple thing. Because actually, for me, there's nothing that makes me happier than to remember to love and to love. The truth is, I forget all the time, every day. And it's very easy when strange things happen to test you or challenge you. It's very easy to forget to love. It's easy to forget. Father teaches a lot about indemnity. That may be a useful thing to remember when you're trying to love, but the object of your love is not loving you or not being particularly easy. right? I feel we're like flowers, and God is longing to love us, for us to open up, to be proud of our beauty. Just like the flowers in the meadow are longing for us to notice them. Like our sisters are longing to be told, oh, you look beautiful today. Our brothers are, what do we want to be told, guys? What? You're so what? So strong. You're like a rock. Am I wrong, sisters? You want to be told, you're beautiful today, right? How much care you take in that. But that's totally God. So, yes, let's witness. Yes, let's do tribal messiahship. But really, let's stand up as holy people. Holy, incredible, precious children of God. By the way, no matter what we've done, no matter where we come from, we have that right. I know my daughter has made many mistakes, and yet still she has the guts to write on the top of her Father's Day card, which you think is supposed to be about me, she says, thank you for making me to be such a great person. I'm awesome. Thanks for your hard work to raise me up. Interesting. So, is that a good message for the day? So, right now, think about it. Feel the wood against your body. That hard wood under your butts, longing to be recognized, pushing against you hard every Sunday, doesn't want to be scolded, wants to be loved. That little piece of wood in front of you, look at it. On the front pew, wants to be loved. This room, the beautiful windows. When we look carelessly, we judge things easily. Right? When we look carelessly, we judge things easily. But when we love, Father said, when you love, you attain infinite value. When you give love, you attain infinite value. And the cool thing about love is, we can all do it right now. Right after I come down, something else is going to happen. Songs, offerings, maybe prayers, a little bit of this and that. We're going to go downstairs and fellowship together. But my request for us all today is to try and experience, if we can elevate our already awesome atmosphere even higher by each of us remembering that to give love, we will receive infinite value. We give infinite value. We experience infinite value. And every single thing that we touch, we can respect as holy. Okay? Yes. Aju? Okay, that's it. Thank you.